Hello, and welcome back to another AIMBOT. It's been a minute or maybe less than a minute. Is my microphone working? Apparently so, which is surprising considering every time I booted this thing up, it has not been working. But welcome to another AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? Who is the one at blame? And welcome to a lot of people in chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. I usually start these with some kind of rant, but I must admit, big apologies. I did miss last week. I had a lot of stuff to do, had to edit a 7-hour video and find every instance of someone being bigoted and horrible, which was just incredible amounts of work. So I do apologize. And I also was doing something else, so I kind of got caught up. Just a big shout out to a few of the peeps out there. Hello, Jess. Good to see you. Ember, good to see you. Wait, Ember's not coming up in my overlay, so that's a thing. I can probably actually, yeah, get this up here. I feel like I'm going to be behind the wall of text and sort of I'll try to lean this way, but if I lean too far, it'll like move the camera. So that's okay. That's all right. It's a work in progress. It's definitely a work in progress. But Jess, hey, left-handed Jedi, good to see you. Andrew, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Our resident artiste is Andrew. And we have Carlos. Good to see you. And a big wave back. Like usually I do a bit of a rant on this one. I haven't really prepared anything, but looking at the news today, it's kind of wild. Look, I'm going to preface this with a big, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but, right, like it has to be said. So if you're following the whole Epstein thing, it's an absolute debacle. It's so wild what is happening. It may be the biggest scandal that America's ever seen, and I am including Watergate and things like that in it. It could be the largest scandal that's ever been seen on the face of the planet. It is wild what is happening, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, right? I see people like Joe Rogan go on about it and things, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'd believe he'd lean into a conspiracy, but at some point, you've got to say, well, something is not right here. Something really is not right, and I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what's happening, but for them to say, oh, we released the raw footage of this cell, and then Pam Bondi comes out and says, oh, there's a minute missing, but that minute is missing from all of the tapes. It's totally normal. Now an expert's come out and said, no, that isn't what's happening. They do have the footage over at the Department of Justice. And this looks like it is a split where like an expert has said, this is a split where two videos have been put together. And it's like, why come out with such a obvious and sort of checkable lie? Look, as far as conspiracies and cover-ups go, they're not doing a good job. Like seriously, I've seen way better cover-ups. I've seen way better cover-ups. I think this is government ineptitude. Government ineptitude. Look, this administration, it is absolutely inept at everything, including covering up things. Like it is inept at covering up things because holy crap, that is so easily checkable. The metadata in the video is still there. Like they haven't tried to alter. Like they basically, the experts could even tell that it was it was used by Adobe Premiere Pro, and you just have to marvel. You have to sit back and marvel at the audacity of somebody going to cover something up and alter some footage and not using like some high tech, program from the NSA or something. No, they're using Adobe, like all people do. Like all conspiracy theories do. They're just using off the rack software. I don't know. That's almost insulting, quite frankly. Yes. So we know. Oh, hey, Razor Robertson. Yeah, Parramatta Bound. Cool. Yeah, I did catch that. That was wild. That was sort of I think it is. I think it was in a direct result of people like Stephen Colbert getting cancelled And it's wild that the cancel culture that the left has been accused of cancel culture, and they literally will use power to take a comedian off the air. Like Stephen Colbert is not, this investigative journalist who's going to bust this all. He's just a comedian. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Like, of all the people you want to take down, Stephen Colbert, like seriously, he's just going to find another program because he's hot property. He's insanely funny. He's multiple award winning. He's the most successful currently late night host. It's not like another place isn't going to just snap him up. Well, look, Ember. Yes, they put photo, but that wasn't supposed to be a cover up. That's even dumber. Like that's even dumber. They basically said, okay, this one is a weed leaf, so that means M for marijuana. This one's this one's this, and they just put it over in order to show what it was supposed to be. But like Trump looked at it and went, he had literally MS-13. He thought it was. Nobody was supposed to think that the MS-13 was a real thing in real life. Like no one. That was just to illustrate a point, and it's just that. Wow, wow. But Ember, it's so good to see you. Ember and I are coming up on our 100th debate review, which is going to be amazing. And we'll probably do something for it because, holy crap, that is a lot of debate review. And I love it. Who have I said? Stop the stupidity. You love a good rant? Well, be prepared. Be prepared because I will rant. I will rant. Yeah, it's weird because so a lot of this was self-inflicted, right? So a lot of it was their own administration saying something that then later turns out not to be true. Like Pam Bondi saying, "Oh, the Epstein list is on my desk, or the files are on my desk, and they just have to be released," and then not releasing it. A lot of them were so self-owned. The whole idea that oh well, all of the prison tapes are missing a minute came from Pam Bondi. She actually sat down and sort of said, yeah, like yes, the tape was missing a minute, but this is where a changeover happens at midnight. It's not unusual, and all the tapes have that. Something obviously checkable. And now it's coming out that hey, that just isn't true. So I have noticed that a lot of the accusations of mismanagement and cover up are going at Pam Bondi. And as much as I dislike the woman, I don't think she's the one in the driving seat. I don't think she's going, hey, no, I'm not, going to release it no matter what the president. Like, I think he's firmly in control. So there, we know that there was a victim, one that lived in Australia, that definitely was recruited from Mar-a-Lago, right? And unfortunately, she took her life. I think it was Virginia Guffrey. Yeah. She was 17 and homeless when she picked up work as a towel girl at Mar-a-Lago. So we know that she worked there and that she was recruited by Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. That is very well known. She's got it on testimony. Trump then claims that Epstein tried to hire workers from him. Now, there is an interview with Epstein, and he said the friendship ended because he found out that Trump was involved in a lot of criminal activity. Which one is true? We've got two known liars, each blaming each other for the breakdown of the relationship. We don't know. Like, I wouldn't trust either of them. And like I said, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but this one is wild. This one is wild. And just speaking of Ember, actually, that reminds me. Speaking of Ember, this wonderful person who has been a absolute gem in my community, in our lives. They she has hit 2,000 subscribers as of, I think it was last night or something. So 2K on the racks. If you can come, please do. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a great time. Um, we're gonna have a celebration because it is long overdue, and Ember is criminally unsubscribed to. And while I'm here, I'm going to grab your thingo, and please do support Ember. Ember's had it rough. Ember's look. Look, it's an Australian thing. It's very weird, and I want to talk just briefly about this because I think it's important. I think it's important. Oh, Big Bad Mama, so good to see you. So good to see you, Big Bad Mama. Victoria, the Victoria's in the house. So good to see you, Victoria. No, it's not you are. We are Victoria. We're all Victoria. All of us together. So um, yeah, it's an Australian thing, right? Like, just understand this about Australia. We don't elevate and hold aloft people that are necessarily successful. We still do, but not to that degree. We hold aloft people that will battle no matter what the odds. People that hang in there, people that will struggle, people that will lose and lose and lose and still keep going. That is the Australian way. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is the fight. Whether you stay or not. And Ember's done it tough. Ember's trying to do a crowd fund because she got really a lot of medical problems recently, and certainly not her fault. And if you can support her, absolutely wonderful. We all appreciate it because we really appreciate Ember being in the community, being the wonderful person that she is. So if you can help, please do. It helps the community. We help each other, or at least we try. Look, if you can't, totally understand. Totally understand. The other thing I do have to plug is that a friend of mine, Christopher Mouty, is talking about sort of a new attempted revolution by some pretty horrible people on based on IQ, and I want to talk about this briefly. Like, so it's like this guy called Charles Murray, who's sort of like he wants to have an IQ sort of revolution kind of thing, which is wild, which is really, really, really wild. And so he's having a premiere. I believe that's going to be Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. So it may conflict with me. I don't care. Maudy, I've had him on the show before and talked to him. He's a very intelligent guy. He's basically, his background is in psychology. Now, he specializes in clinical research and researches. What does he research? He researches smells, how smells affect psychology. But his background in psychology is really good. Hey, Tori, good to see you. Tori, good to see you drop in. So he researches. I'm trying to think of the word it means. You know, um, smells basically. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a technical term for smells. I will find. This is going to bug me all day if I don't find this. Um, Olfactory. Yes, yes, olfactory psychology. Right? How smells affect your mental state and your mental sort of how it affects your behavioral state, which is wild, and it's also interconnected, and it's a lot more than think. But he's talking about a guy who's trying to push an IQ revolution. Now, my thoughts on IQ. Right. Yeah. Yeah, Scott. Good to see you, Scott. Yeah, olfaction. Thank you. Yep. Yep. It came eventually, but yeah, it's wild. Like I really, some of the things, ambush to postate. Good to see you, mate. Really good to see you, Seth. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Um, so, and Jessica, yeah, absolutely. It was clumsy. Yeah, absolutely. So he's doing this on this guy, and I'm really interested because um, so a lot of leverage has been sort of made on people with high IQ. And number one, IQ is very poorly understood, and it is kind of a deceptive metric, whether somebody is um, equipped to make decisions in society, whether their IQ is high. IQ seems to be the ability to assimilate new information and understand new concepts, or sort of get a handle on new stuff. But IQ, it doesn't mean that you have an accurate information as well, but that doesn't necessarily translate to an ability to implement that information in a useful way. Things like very high IQ people, there's been, like, Newton's my favorite example. Newton was incredibly high IQ, and um, it basically, he believed in alchemy, that he could turn lead into gold and all of these kinds of nonsensical stuff. Like, it doesn't mean that you have any better handle on how to run a society. So this sort of idea that IQ is going to be a magic bullet to solve society's problems, I think, is very, very, very limited thinking. It just isn't very good, because while somebody can assimilate and accurate information very fast and very efficiently, that still doesn't mean they're going to use it for any kind of correct purpose. That like, we've had a long line of people like, to say, Oppenheimer, for instance, who, obviously he was a genius. He created the nuclear weapons, but that may have not been a really good idea. It doesn't mean that that information is going to be used for the right purpose, or for the benefit of people. And sort of high IQ people, in their sort of quest to understand these things, they may do things that are really bad for society. So this whole idea, and I have been accused of being high IQ before. I don't feel like I am. I don't know. I've taken IQ tests and done very well, but I just don't feel that way, because a lot of things that people say and do confuse me a lot. So I think it's one of those metrics that is like, well, you can jump really high. Well, great. But why should that automatically translate to somebody that should run society in any way? I don't think it is a natural metric that we should just implement. Oh, absolutely, Jedi. Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly another point. There's definitely people that are high IQ. I think that Einstein, being, we know Einstein was very, very high IQ, but I don't think he would ever suggest that he runs society. In fact, Einstein was offered to be, I don't know if you know this, he was offered to be president of Israel, right? They offered him to be the leader of Israel, and he said, no, that's not something that I want to do, or I don't think you should just offer it to the smartest person. And I think he was right. I think he was very prescient in saying, hey, just because I am very smart doesn't give me an ability to run a country in any way, shape, or form. And I think that this is going to be very, very interesting. So I wanted to promote that. If you do want to share it around, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest, Scott. That does not surprise me in the slightest. I do know my mother was a psychologist. She ended up working for a lot of city planning and things like that. But before she did that, she was actually involved in marketing research, and they do get psychologists into marketing research because they want to know what works on people, what causes them to buy things. And she said it was like the most depressing time of her life, basically using the things she learnt in psychology to, I wouldn't say compel, to extremely encourage people to buy things. Yeah, really depressing time in her life, because you're basically using something that can, you know, yeah, yeah, totally. The other thing I want to talk about is my heart goes out to New York. there has been a shooting over there where somebody's come through. I saw the footage of it. It's wild. It's always it's odd that I've done a debate very recently where I'm arguing about, the danger of having so many guns in society, and then they sort of, the weird part is you get into these conversations and you sort of go, okay, well, this amount of guns out there is, it's causing so much harm, and they'll talk about, rifles don't kill that many people, and it's like, I didn't mention rifles. Like, when did I mention rifles? And B, this guy that just did this New York thing had a rifle, and apparently he'd had two mental health holds. And I hate that they will then go to, well, it's mental health, then we need to look at. No, no, no. We need to restrict who has these. This guy could easily get a gun even though he had two mental health holds. And apparently he got it from Nevada and then went to New York having two stringent rules. So a lot of the problems are people in places with weak gun laws bringing them over the border into another state, and that's horrible. There was a number of young people just doing work in this building, and they had to hunker down. Just horrible stuff, and my heart goes out to them. It really does. But there's a lot of red states, and I'm sorry to sort of do the political binary here, but there's a lot of red states that just will not step up and try to put some common sense or some reasonable legislation there to stop certain people from getting it. And I think that it's really heartbreaking. It really is. And I really think that a lot of it is, people look around and they're like, well, other people have them, so I've got to have them, and they're thinking the same. It's just horrible. Yeah, I totally agree, Jessica. I totally agree. Yeah, high IQ. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So sort of a intelligentsia, I don't think is a, like, so intelligentsia and sort of academia, it's really good for telling you what things are and how they work, kind of thing. And I've sort of pointed this out in multiple debates, like science, academia, all of these things where we study stuff, they're really good at telling you what things are. They're really bad at telling you how to implement that knowledge, like really terrible at doing that. And, I mean, it often gets leveraged against me that, oh, you want to trust all of humanity with these decisions, kind of thing. No, not really. It's more that any power consolidated in very few individuals will corrupt. We've got to have some way to spread that out, and the best way is to spread it out to the people. So, because we're all stakeholders in this world. But yeah, those were the two big stories I see that going on. So I thought I would mention them. But yeah, the New York thing breaks my heart. Impossible, Hume would say. Impossible. I more would say that, and when I get sort of accused of, so what Scott's talking about, and thanks for that comment, Scott, I think it's very, very prescient, is Hume's guillotine. It basically says that just because things are a certain way doesn't give you any kind of compulsion to follow or do anything in particular. Like, we could point to empathy, for instance, right? You feel empathy towards people. It doesn't get you to a, well, you ought to do this because of empathy. You can't bridge that gap. But I think that in a way, we can do some if statements, some conditionals, right? So we can sort of say, hey, if you want a society that takes care of each other, there's a few oughts you can get from that. If you want a society that is generally happy or generally satisfied with their life, then something like following the veil of ignorance, making the society pretty pluralistic, and people to be able to contribute to their society is a good ought to do. And in that way, you're not really getting an ought from an is, you're getting an ought from an if and only if you want people to be healthy, then you ought to have a a good medical care system, right? Like these are things that we can say, well, things are like what they are, but if you want them to be a certain way, then you should do this. And I think that that sort of circumvents the is ought gap. But you're right, it's not an is. It's not a hey, people will get sick without it, without a good medical system, so you should do that. That doesn't follow, because there's no reason why you ought to do that. But if you care about people, then there's a whole bunch of oughts you can get from that. But it is a very good point. And why should we care about other people? Well, in that case, I would point to reciprocity. Like, I want them to care about me because I might be in that situation too. So there's a lot of ifs coming down here. And I think that sort of the human condition is that we do care about others. Now, I've run into a few people who don't. I mean, look at that debate against Andrew Wilson. He seems to lack any empathy to other people whatsoever. Like, he seems to think that people who lack empathy, it makes empathy just an illusion in our society. It's just this big con job. It doesn't exist, and thing where we have studied neurology and we know it does. We know how mirror neurons work. We know how I believe it's serotonin release happens when you do that. We're very aware of not just the psychology. Put psychology to one side. We're aware of the neurology, how the brain actually fires, and why it doesn't in cases of people with antisocial personality disorder. Because antisocial personality disorder, it's not a case of a mental illness. It is a neurological condition. It is a case where their brain does not fire the right chemicals when somebody else is hurt or somebody else is injured. People get a bad rap. Psychopaths get a really bad rap. They can be very productive members of society who can have very fulfilled lives, but they get a bad rap. But a lot of the time they can't admit that they have any problems whatsoever. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a neurologist. I wouldn't go so far as to try to diagnose Andrew, but his lack of empathy is very disturbing, very disturbing. And it's probably why a lot of people find him very objectionable, because that lack of empathy is just wild to me. I don't know how you could see, and the fact that he would use certain things to make a point, while sort of being dishonest about it. He will use stuff. That's the manipulation part, where you don't have any empathy for other people. Just wild to me, but that's okay. Look, I'm going to start aimbotting soon. I really am. I do apologize. I've been talking and talking and talking. But I thought it was interesting to point out, like, a couple of things that I saw this morning. And I usually do this rant. Look, if you've got a problem with it, no worries. Just drop a comment in the comments below. Drop a thing. But drop a comment, and I will take it on board. I had some really good feedback from the Wilson debate, to be honest with you. I had some good feedback from the last debate, the one against who was it, Brian Lara. I had some really good feedback. I always appreciate it if you did leave feedback, if you did leave comments and stuff. I absolutely appreciate it, because I never know where I'm at. I never know where I'm at. I've had mixed feelings about the last couple of debates. I think that okay, we're up. We're doing things. Okay. So this is AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt, or them? We're going onto Reddit. Am I the asshole to find out who's in the right, who's in the wrong? None of these are curated. They are solicited, consensual judgment of people. It's solicited. They've asked to be judged, and it's consensual because they give permission to be judged. So we're not judging out of turn. We're not just applying our stuff to them. But we will go through, and as I said, these are new to me, as they might be new to you. Now, how you judge them and use moral designations, that's entirely up to you. I do like why. Saying who's in the right and who's in the wrong is really easy. Why they're in the right or in the wrong, yeah, that's the tough part, isn't it? I use secular humanism. You may use something different. And it really annoys me. Secular humanism has gotten really a lot of. Do you want me to? Actually, I might. I might put that there so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Look, I don't need me there. I don't. How do I get rid of me? Can I hide this? Maybe. No, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. That's not really what I want. That's what I want. Yeah. Okay. Good. 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 Oh, look, Jessica. Like, gotcha. Yeah. No, I gotcha. To be honest with you, I re-uploaded it just so because I was being accused of hiding it, and I didn't have anything to hide. I just didn't want my audience to be subject to some of the racist, bigoted, and horrible things that he and I were saying. Look, I turned Australian halfway through and started swearing my ass off. I won't lie, but I just didn't want that up there, so that's why I did it. I feel sorry for the man in a way. In a way, okay, just in a way because yeah, he's absolutely awful. He is a authoritarian, a totalitarian. He seems to be leaning towards fascistic tendencies. But I always feel sorry for people with who I suspect have antisocial personality disorders. That you know, I I I feel sorry for them because I feel a great deal of love and emotion and very rich and um, very wonderful feelings when I feel empathy, right? Like when I see um, you know, a child go, be absolutely enthralled with trains, or when I see somebody be really passionate about their art, or when I see somebody when you watch something and a couple is absolutely in love, like I don't know about you, but I remember the picture of sort of Obama with his wife, and it was just you could feel that empathy. I I feel sorry that he's never got like, can you imagine not feeling that? Could you imagine like I mean, occasionally I will watch a reaction channel sometimes, not a whole heap, but occasionally I will. And that feeling you get when somebody's watching your favorite movie for the first time. It's that secondhand enjoyment, like that feeling about what they're feeling. And that is empathy. That's exactly empathy. And people people some people will never feel that. It just does not fire their brain like it does. When I say normal, neurotypical, or people with a sense of empathy, it's really sad because a lot of the richness of our experience is seeing someone triumph at sports and feeling that wow, you've done something amazing, and that is empathy. It's feeling what they are feeling. It's so important for pro-social behaviors, and they cannot physically feel it. So I don't get me wrong, mama, I don't feel too sorry for him, but in a way, like, imagine how sad that must be. Imagine seeing, somebody watch your favorite film for the first time and be, blown away by it, and you feel nothing. You feel nothing. You don't feel connected to that person. You don't feel that yourself. You feel nothing. I can't imagine how horrible that would be. So in a way, I do feel for people that can't feel empathy. It's awful. But that's the thing. Okay. Sorry. I don't I don't feel very angry towards Wilson. I think that he will do anything to win, and it's kind of shocking and horrible, but you know, I think that I mean what kind of a life can he have? Like no empathy, doing anything to win. The only time he seems to laugh is when he's hassling somebody else. I can't imagine what life that would be. But he's welcome to it. I'd rather have a wonderful community of really cool people than, a million followers who are just nasty. I would rather have two people that are wonderful than you know 10,000 nasty followers. Like I just yeah. So yeah, thank you everybody. Okay, so Rich Plane 2730. Am I the arsehole for letting my daughter flaunt her expensive items? Probably, maybe. Depends on the circumstance. I don't see why. I mean, what do you mean by flaunt? I don't I what do you mean by flaunt? I mean, I don't brr. Do you mean the ones that Mehdi Hassan interviewed? Because wow, I that was wild. That was wild. Aw, Jedi, thank you so much. Thank you, Jedi. Yeah, I don't like it. All depends how you measure success, right? What is success, and what does that mean to you? And I don't measure success in terms of followers or clicks or views or anything like that, subscribers, and I don't measure success by how much money you've got. I measure success by how much you touch other people's lives and how um, what you do and how much you try. Look, success is a very, very weird thing, but I don't think it's tied to that. And good luck to you if you think it is. That's fine. Different people have different opinions. Sure. Okay. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, what is one of five that go away? Flaunt her expensive items. I mean, I if she wants to do that, it's her lookout. Like I presume, yeah, she's 21, so that's really her decision. I don't get. Oh, right, let's have a look because I see that as amoral. Like just it's kind of whatever. Like it's not moral. It's not immoral. It's just well, whatever. I, 50 female, and my husband, 48 male, have a daughter, Danica, who has been extremely independent her whole life. At 21, it's your decision. Danica became working when she was 15, and now she works part-time for a large corporation while pursuing her studies. Yeah, good on her. We're extremely proud of her and how hard she has worked. We generally allow her to manage her own finances, and she insists on contributing monthly to family expenses with the money she earns. Well, that's good, especially if she does live at home. I mean, does she live at home? I mean, she's 21. You'd probably want to move out, you know. Danica occasionally likes to make pricier purchases, which I do not have any concern over, as I think they are sensible financial choices. Like last year, she decided to purchase the newest MacBook as her old laptop was on its last leg, and she wanted something reliable and long-lasting. Or when she bought a Marc Jacobs bag for work and university. Okay, well, I mean, if she's working, she's making money, she has no kids, good on her. I don't see a problem with that. Recently went on a family trip with my brother and his family, who have two kids of their own, Tammy, 20 female, and Nick, 23 male. Okay, so they're her cousins. His kids and Danica aren't exactly close, but they get along fine for the most part. I know that Tammy and Nick do not have any source of income besides my brother and have not worked a day in their life. Well, I mean, okay, that 20 and 23. When was your first job? Mine was like, I believe 15, I think. I think I started working at 15. And look, my first job was a Pizza Hut. I won't lie. It was a Pizza Hut, okay? It was a Pizza Hut. But I did work with my dad before that kind of thing. So, um, my dad was an electrician, so I'd be on site, like just doing things like you know, um replacing PowerPoints and stuff like that, just basic stuff. Um, putting in switches, putting covers on them, helping shove cabling down through a wall gap kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. Just a laborer. Um, During the trip, Danica would occasionally pay for the three of them for small things like drinks or food. When we were shopping, Danica bought a few items for herself and picked up gifts she wanted to bring back to her friends. During the dinner that night, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, told my husband and me that we were spoiling Danica too much with her purchases. Yeah, they're not, but they're not, though. We explained that Danica earned her own money and every cent came from her job. Yeah, she's motivated, 21 and working. Cool. Sister-in-law then proceeded to point and tell Danica if that was the case, she shouldn't be flaunting her purchase in front of her cousins who don't have a cushy little office job. Excuse me. excuse me, most office jobs that I've had are so far away from being cushy. You, uh, a cushy little office job. I mean, I don't know what she's studying, um, but most of those jobs, yeah, they you can get cushy office jobs, but most of them are very intense. And parents who spoiled her into the person she is. Danica apologized politely, saying she didn't mean to flaunt her things, but I can tell she was upset and embarrassed. Yeah, probably. Gee, that's horrible. Why shame her for, working hard? Wow, okay, that's some parenting I'm not aware of. Okay, sure, sure. My husband stood up and shot back, saying Danica shouldn't have to apologize for her own hard work. Damn right. And I also pointed out that Danica has been financially independent since she was 15, and that we've always done our best not to spoil her. Damn right. Sister-in-law then proceeded to tell us that we weren't teaching her how to manage her finances correctly. What do you mean, manage her finances correctly? And all of this money has turned her into a little brat. What the fuck? I get here. Danica excused herself to the bathroom and texted that she has gone back to the hotel. Yeah, damn right. We had a tense back and forth the rest of the dinner, and we came back to finding Danica crying in her hotel room. Wow, that is horrible thing to do to a young woman. I call my brother hoping that he is able to talk to his wife, but he explained that for the past few days, Tammy had been crying to her parents about not having what Danica had. She had been whining to her mum that she wanted the newest MacBook as well, but she refused to get it for her. Yeah, myself, Danica, and my husband have been getting calls from the rest of the family, some calling us assholes and some who are willing to hear us out and understand where we're coming from. So am I the asshole? Absolutely not. Like, Tammy's got to understand the problem is not Danica, like, buying some stuff. The problem is Tammy not understanding that, hey, she doesn't have to work. She doesn't have to get out there. She's 20. She's 20. Like, if she was 15, I would understand that she doesn't get that Danica works for a living, she studies hard, and Tammy doesn't. Like, if she was 15, I would totally understand, right? Like, yeah, you haven't been out in the workforce yet. Totally understand, you know, um, you've got to get out there if you need to make money. Totally get it. Totally get it. Understood, right? But at 20, at 20, at 20. I must admit, I was, romping around a bit at 20. At 21, I was employed full time. I had my period of sort of cutting loose and not working and sort of doing all kinds of random crap. But, at 20, you understand that, hey, if I wanted to, be a delinquent or whatever. If I wanted to be a young delinquent, I wouldn't be getting as much money as somebody working. I don't know why I would begrudge somebody for that. I don't know why I would hate somebody for that. That is wild. That is wild. I don't see why you've got to explain it. Like, anybody that doesn't understand that is wild. Like, and how is she flaunting it? I don't. So this is to be a case of the parent getting sort of demands from their child to be on the same level as someone who is working full time or working part time for a company and also studying in order to provide valuable skills to that company, and they expect to have the same life, and that's just not how the world works. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for a safety net, but at the end of the day, if you're not working, you're not going to be making money, unfortunately, or in very few cases you will be. So this is a lack of understanding by the kid, and you could help them. You could say, "Hey, we can get you a job. We can look for a job for you. Teach you how to find a job. Not sort of just say, "Hey, you stop looking like you're employed." I mean, if they were teenagers, I'd kind of understand it, but at 21 and 20, no, that's too old to have that sort of point of view. Let's see what the Redditors have to say. I'm pretty sure what they'll say. I'm pretty sure what they'll say. So two grown adults complain to their parents about what a third grown adult has bought with their own money. Do not they realize how pathetic that sounds? Not the arsehole, your daughter has done nothing wrong. Yeah, so okay, so brain development in teenagers and tweens. So brain development, they sort of say, hey, the brain isn't fully developed, at least I think among men until 23 or so. So yeah, we kind of have to go, well, young people like 18, 19, 20, they are considered adults legally, but they still have some development to do. And understanding that and being sensitive to that is probably a good idea. But I think that um, at 20, yeah, you really should be getting that. And even if that was the case that they haven't fully developed yet, it's really the parents' responsibility to teach them about the way the freaking world works. Yeah. Whoa, yeah, hooligan. Justin became a member level commentator. Thank you so much, Justin. There will be a members only stream tomorrow. Haven't decided what I'm doing. I will probably talk a bit about the latest debates, probably give my thoughts and feelings and play some games. If you've got the same games, you're welcome to join me. It's going to be just a hangout session for the believers. You know who you are. You know who you are. You know who you are, and you've got the emojis to prove it. But congratulations. Thank you so much, Justin from Yahooligan from Skeptic Spin. Enjoy your emotes and other benefits if I can find them. I mean, who's going to find them? Who's going to find them? Yay! Winner, winner, chicken dinner. There you go. Pickens girl says a 20-year-old crying to her parents about what she doesn't have, a 21-year-old having financial independence and purchasing their own belongings. I think we know who the little brat is in this scenario. Please don't subject your daughter to their emotional abuse anymore. She shouldn't be forced to vacation or hang out with people who talk so poorly about her to her face and behind her back. Yeah, and I think that it is absolutely, absolutely reprehensible to shame, and I will use that word, shame, a 21-year-old who is working and studying and trying to build a life self, about building a life for herself. Like, why is it even happening? Why is it even happening? Like, that is reprehensible. Oof. Big oof. Incredibly high oof. Tammy can go and get herself a damn job if she wants what Danica has, and their whole family can apologize to Danica while they're at it. In fact, I'd let your brother know until you won't be speaking to him until that happens. Protect your daughter. Yeah, and the fact that she's crying about it is really upsetting. She's done everything right. Look, I definitely had some jobs when I was younger, fell off the rails, got up to a whole bunch of mischief, got involved in a few scenes, got back into the workforce a bit later, worked hard. You know, I she's on the right track to begin with. Like, nothing would convince me that, hey, that was the great way to go through life. It wasn't. It was pretty bad. So, like, I don't know who would be stupid enough to see somebody um handling life fine and deciding they're gonna hassle them for being um being a responsible, hardworking, studying individual that is being helpful to society. How dare you? What the? This is wild. Are there people that actually think like this? Your brother's wife is a jealous bully. Danica has every right to spend her own money on what she wishes. She should be congratulated for doing so well for herself at an early age. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The only criticism I have is you talking about or allowing or letting Danica do things. Danica is an adult. It is not your decision anymore, but definitely in this conflict, not the arsehole. Well, it depends. From what I'm gathering, and I don't know this for sure, they're living in Danica's living at home. And hey, nothing wrong with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. Do not shade anybody for living at home. It is helpful financially, emotionally to have your family around you. Live at home for as long as you can. if you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is good to get out there and have your own place and have your own responsibility and things like that. But if you can live at home, it's very, very helpful to getting started in life. So um, please don't hassle people for living at home. It's hard out there. It's really hard. Um, so yeah, if you know, allowing or letting them do things, it may be to do with living at home, but I do agree. You know, she is an adult. She does get to do her own things, but there certainly might be some rules in the house that you enforce because it is your house, and that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Totally get it. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's see what the believers have to say. Um, My success, oh, that is so sweet, Jetta. I gotta show this one. The joy I get making stories for my daughter. That is so sweet. I love that. I love that. Stephen J. Gould. Stephen J. Gould, just before I read this, Stephen J. Gould is the most misquoted and misaligned person in all of biology. Like seriously, um, you know, he really like they will misquote and take him out of context. He's quote mined. He is cherry picked. It's ridiculous. Yeah, soil is too complex to be just one unit. Yeah, some things are hard to quantify. Absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, hooligan all aboard the Mac hate. I must admit, I don't like Macs. To me, Macs are look. Okay, if you're a Mac person, I get it. I totally get it. For me, um, Macs are like Macs are like a bike with training wheels. Totally useful. I totally get why someone would have one. For me, it's just annoying as hell. Like the amount you can't do with them is annoying. 16 car wash for Ember. Woo! Yeah, no, fair call. That's a classic. That's a classic. Andrew says pay check job was 13, but did farming work since. Yeah. When you're in a family that sort of has a family business, totally understand it. Big Band Mama says the sister-in-law is projecting onto Danica because she is the one who has not who has not taught fiscal responsibility to her kids. Instead of confronting the issue with their own children, she is lashing out. And I think you do have a point there. Yes. Um, and sometimes it isn't fiscal responsibility. Sometimes it just is. You know, some people have problems getting into the workforce for whatever reason. I personally, and you may disagree, my opinion is that there's no such thing as lazy people. There's a number of reasons why people aren't motivated to go and work, and it may be a combination of a lot of different things. It may be a lack of confidence. It may be that they're depressed about their situation. It may be they're finding abuse in their work. There may be a ton of reasons why, but you know, lazy is so reductive, and it really doesn't cover what people are going through. I think it doesn't exist, to be honest with you. I think it's just a cheap way of saying, hey, they're having problems finding employment. Um, Jedi says, I was 16 at working at cleaning a cancer research lab. Damn. Well, that's interesting. Tori says, I started working when I was 18. It was Burger King. I hated it. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. You know what? When I worked fast food, and look, people hassle fast food workers. Like, stop doing it. Fast food workers, it is high demand, high pressure, high stress. It's low pay. Stop hassling fast food workers. Okay, stop it. I used to like getting in the zone, like getting in the zone of making pizzas and just spitting them out. I must admit I did like parts of it. Other parts I didn't. So yeah, I don't think there's been a job that I've had that I have hated or loved all of it. You know, there's not been a job that I've had where I've just hated every single part or loved every single part. But that's just me. Not counting the why are there so many farm people in here? What is this? Is this a rural support group? Why the farm workers? Why the farm workers? Um, Left Hand Jedi says she's supporting herself while the others aren't working. They don't get to say a word, in my opinion. And I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Jessica says, my first job was at the age of 30 after I graduated from university. No one wanted to hire me because I had no experience. I was unemployed. Yeah, and that's the problem. That's definitely a problem. You need experience to get work. You need work to get experience. And it's this horrible, horrible thing. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Jessica. And sort of so studying people, I think companies go, well, you don't know what it's like to work in a workplace. And universities, they're not catching up. The universities are actually doing more job placement orientation stuff, like how to work with teams and things like that. So, I'm not sure how long ago that was, but I think universities, at least in Australia, have changed their tack a little bit, and I do know that from experience. Um, Ember says, "How dare you have nice things you want?" Yeah, yeah, exactly. How dare you spend some of your hard-earned money on things that you want? Wow. Um, Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, going into university after having worked, I'll be perfectly blunt with you. Um, some of the people coming out from school had no idea how teams worked, how you worked in a team, how the division of labor actually worked and things worked within a team. It was really wild, sort of trying to corral these young people and young, relatively speaking, these relatively young people into doing teamwork kind of thing and assigning responsibilities to people. And I think even though there were team leaders, I just fell into it because I was older and I was actually getting stuff organized. So, but I hate being a team leader. I really do, but I'm good at it. So, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That sucks. That sucks. I worked in telemarketing for a bit, and that was an office job of sorts. Yep, 100% not cushy. Yeah, yep. If you want to see a non-cushy office job, go into call center. I worked call center for a long time, and like once we had an open day in the, it's sort of like a tech company kind of thing, but an open day, people would come in, they would see how the company works. We had a big thing of customer service in that company. It was a very, very large company that did internet connections and things like that. So there was a big customer service thing. They'd bring in people, and I remember, these people coming in and just, the person showing them around is like, this is what they do for 8 hours a day, and it is incredibly tough. This is the screens that they're using, or this is sort of what they do, and they have to be aware of this. Like, it was like just seeing the public go, oh boy, that looks intimidating and tough, and it was, like, it absolutely was. um Left-handed Jedi, I climbed telephone poles in some seriously sketchy neighborhoods, hard physically and emotion-wise too. Yeah, yeah, I could only imagine. Although you are a Jedi, you could probably float to the ground by using the Force, so I'm not that worried about you. Stop stupidity. She should be able to be excited about it and proud of herself as long as she isn't jamming it in people's faces. Well, that's what they think she's doing, but I don't think that's the case. I think she just is living her life and people are getting jealous of her. Jessica, the transmitter alchemist, says this feels like tall poppy syndrome, where people are meant to feel ashamed of their successes. Yeah, so this is a big problem in Australia. Um, Massive problem in Australia. Tall poppy syndrome. So the way that poppies grow, basically, um, they grow at different heights, and tall poppy syndrome is where the poppy grows above the others and is cut off, kind of thing, by the person, sort of tending the field. So the idea for tall poppy syndrome is if you show success above others, they will cut you down to size. And this happens a lot in Australia, and there is good things about this and bad things about this, and I've probably experienced both. It's good that nobody is seen as unreachable or has this privileged position where they can do anything they want. That's the good part. The bad part is that truly exceptional people, or people that are doing really well, can feel like very unmotivated because they will get cut down, and that's a shame. So there's pluses and minuses for that. I remember a brother got his first job and immediately bought himself an Xbox 360. My mum got really upset about this and kept lecturing him on financial responsibility. Yeah, I don't, you know, like if you're buying something to unwind after your job, I don't see the problem. I see that as just a, consequence of having the job. If you're doing a hard job and you get a 360 to unwind afterwards, good on you. We've got to have a work-life balance where we're taking care of ourselves and working hard at the same time. You can't just work hard, save all your money, because burnout is a thing. And I know this, and definitely autistic burnout is definitely a thing. Um, you can't just go 100% and not have something to unwind with, not be able to spend any money. Yes, putting aside for the future is great, and I highly recommend it. Definitely put in for the future, but that doesn't mean that you sacrificed your current well-being doing so. And I think that's the point. Totally agree, Jessica, that's not fun. That's not a lack of financial responsibility. It is simply maintaining that work-life balance. That is fine. You can't even get work around here. It's freaking ridiculous. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew. No, not a family business. The farmer was a bunch of farmers, and the paycheck was at 13 from Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen. Okay, I've heard of that place. My family, not farmers. We own a lot of land, but that's for wildlife and pheasant hunting. Okay, what are you, a 13th century lord of England? Go for the pheasants? I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't know. First part-time job was being a DJ at a radio station that played easy listening music. I think they should rename it. It's not easy to listen to. Yeah, no, I hear you. It always, makes me uncomfortable when you hear those kind of tunes in the supermarket and you can't get away from it. It's freaking horrible. Used to be rich. You had 5,000 in the bank during the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, back when $1,000 was a lot of money. Okay, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's cool. Group projects in school were the worst. Well, I don't know if you mean high school. I always had problems doing group work in high school. Um, like nobody wanted to work with me. I think it was because I would be pedantic and a stickler for procedure and things like that. I was very, oh, we've got to follow the rules kind of thing. That just naturally occurred to me because of my autism, and that's still, you can still see that evident in my debates and stuff. That I will go, hey, this is the rules of the debate. It's not, I don't know. It's almost like a compulsion for me. Like, I might not mind, but I, I really want to follow the way that it's been set out. That procedure and protocol is really important to me, just because of the way my mind works. It gets discombobulated when it goes off track. So, um, and the weird thing was that teachers were like, "Oh, you're so difficult to work with," and I'm like, I don't get how. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand how now, because a lot of people want to skip the procedure and skip the protocol, and I'm like, no, we can't. And all right, just point and laugh at me, but that's just what I'm like. Andrew said, I didn't mind group projects. I'm good at managing people's strengths and weaknesses and finding the best. Lol, when I managed Pizza Hut in the town, I was able to grow profit by 300%. My employees were super happy. My district manager let me get away with anything, and I brought people in from all over Wisconsin to eat our Pizza Hut. Oh, that's cool. Me, I won't lie, my biggest work issue was boredom. Yeah, I can understand that, Left-Handed Jedi. I can sure understand that, absolutely. And that is a thing. People get put in these positions where they are not challenged at all, and it's odd. It's kind of like humans need to be challenged, kind of thing. Other people are fine at just working away in the background, just doing those repetitive tasks over and over. And hey, that's cool too. We need all kinds. Indeed, you are British. What? Uh, Pinky out. Oh, come on now. That's a bit extra. That's a bit extra, don't you think? Pinky out. Nice. Well, that was that one. Oh, I didn't do the poll. What am I doing? I miss one freaking thing, and suddenly I'm just screwing it up. Look, I'll do it quickly. I'll do it quickly. All right. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Was the poster right for um for what do you call it? Lambasting. Was the poster right for criticizing her brother for God, this is really weird. I'll just put criticizing her brother because really that's what she was doing. She was criticizing him for criticizing their daughter, which I think they were quite right to do. I think that um, they are absolutely in the right and everybody else is absolutely in the wrong. And I don't think, I mean, what gets me is that the Danica, the daughter, is being more adult than the adults. Not her parents, but the other adults. When she sort of gets hassled, she just leaves. Just leaves and says, "Okay, I'm not participating in this." I wish I could do that at times. I'm a professional dagnammit. Who was the OP? The OP was the daughter's parents, so the parents of the girl with the full-time job. That was the original poster. So they were asking whether they were right for standing up for their daughter, and absolutely, I think they were. But that your experience may differ. You do. It's natural. No, I want a four-fisted finger grip on my coffee cup. Like it's a big coffee cup. I don't I don't make any apologies for getting that four knuckle grip on my massive coffee cup. I love it. No pinky out for me. I'm a man with four knuckles and a coffee. Damn right. Damn right. Can I put a coffee emoji in here? Oh yeah, I can hang on a second. Four knuckles and a coffee cup. Damn right. What the hell emoji is that? I don't know. I like big cups and I cannot lie. Wow. It's been an age since I heard that song. So Mix a lot. Uh. Uh. I don't know. I wonder at any parent that's going to like what is wild to me, is that parents will see another child and they'll see like that child they are raised maybe better, or maybe they have raised and made something of themselves, and they'll feel jealous instead of going, how do I learn from this, or get help with this, or in some way better my own experience from, like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it. It's wild. Absolutely wild. If someone could explain that to me, I'd really appreciate it. Me grandma was straight from England after World War II. Right, right. Well, my family at the moment, so my parents and my family, um, we came over in the first settlers kind of thing. So we've been in Australia for a long, long time. I think my great grandma or something was the first baby born in Victoria. Like, we've been here forever. Lynn's family is new from England, so she's very, very new. Her parents sort of emigrated over here. So I sort of see both worlds, and um, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the Australian mentality on things, but I can see, um, I can see people in England why they absolutely hate the place. You know, like because we get people coming over from England who absolutely loathe Australia, like they absolutely loathe it, like they hate it, and I understand why. It is very hot. It's the UV will sear the skin off you. Um, you know, people don't take things seriously. People don't fill up sort of, silences with chatting and things. No one cares about what's proper. I can see why they really get annoyed. Got Scotland in the early 1700s. Yeah, I remember you saying you had a Scottish ancestry, left-handed Jedi. I mean, Reed is very Scottish, and I think that my family came from the north part of England near Scotland, but I'm not sure if they were Scottish or not. Whereas Reed is very Scottish. It's the Scottish spelling of red. So my family name at least is Scottish. I don't know about my actual family, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, we're an amalgamation of a whole bunch of stuff that is. Oh, I thought I upvoted that. That is from Europe and things like that. Okay, I'm gonna shut down the poll. I do apologize, everybody. I'm unused to doing polls. Everyone sucks. Got to vote. Okay, cool, cool. That's fine. Look, you're entitled to your opinion. Not sure why, but hey, that's cool. All good. Oh, good. I'm so into it. Absolutely. Okay, UG Cyrene. Am I the asshole for keeping groceries in my cupboard and lying about it to my roommates? Are they stealing your groceries? Because I don't have a problem with that. I don't know why you'd lie about it. Like, are they asking whether you have anything to eat and you're lying about it? I know people get funny with food. People get funny. Oh, hey Titan. Did I just get raided? Is that what happened? Is that why Titan's over there? I thought you were over at Nick's. I kind of dropped in for a second and I saw you over there. But hello, Titan. And Jester. You're Scottish, Irish, French, British, Russ, yeah, and a partridge in a pear tree. Yeah, absolutely. I can't dissuade you in any way. Okay. Sterling says, I was born in Scotland. Parents emigrated to Canada. There's a lot of Scottish people in Canada, actually. I was surprised to find that out. When I was 8 months old, I decided to come along and check it out. Bevan Hero Sense. Yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, Canada too cold for me. Too freaking cold. But no, Nick's Wi-Fi was messing up. Oh dear. Ugh. Well, I do occasionally fix internet, I will say. Please please tell me that Nick isn't like, the stuff that I've seen. Someone put a comment about, like, people and the stuff that they do. I have once, like, gone to fix somebody's Wi-Fi, and they literally had the modem in a metal, like, cabinet kind of thing, like, in a cupboard that had metal on the outs like, I just like, seriously, people, I don't expect you to be an expert, but holy crap, like, seriously. Um, somebody replied to that because we were talking about, sort of low power, low frequency signals. And they sort of said, yeah, once I went to a place and they basically had their modem in a Faraday cage. And I was like, oh no. Like, seriously, guys, don't put your router and Wi-Fi system in a metal cupboard. Things will go badly. Okay. Things will go very badly. Very, very badly. It's not, wow. Mm, yeah. I've had to troubleshoot all kinds of things throughout the ages. Oh, and I did ask Wilson. Wilson said he knew more than me on everything. It was hilarious because I'm like, okay, what's the protocol of Wi-Fi? And he's like, I don't understand what that means. But you think you're better than me on everything? By the way, protocol for Wi-Fi is 802.11, either A, B, G, AB. Uh, just for your information, that is the protocol. It's a variation of the Ethernet protocol. You didn't need to know that, but I'm just proving that I know way more than he does on a certain subject. It's weird to boast that you know more about everything than anybody. Like, I would never say that. Like, I guess there's people that I would know more than on a subject, but who would boast they know more about everything than another person? Wild, right? Um, am I the arsehole for keeping my ghost? No, not really, I guess. Lying about it? I don't know. Okay, I gotta read this one because this sounds weird. Like, why are you lying? Is it for a good reason? Are you getting your shit stolen? If that's the case, I don't see it as immoral. You're like just trying to save your groceries from being eaten. I, 23 female, live with my boyfriend, 22 male, my best friend, 21 female, and her boyfriend, 24 male. Look, if you live in a share house, it's really frustrating to have your groceries eaten by somebody. It really is. Like, you know, if you get along with them, you're all buying stuff for the house, it can be fine. But if you're the only one buying stuff and it's all just vanishing, it can be really freaking annoying. And I get that. I've been working at a new job for about 7 months, but if that's happening, you might look at moving out and going somewhere else. I know it's rough, but you know that might be what you've got to do. Just saying. I've been working a new job for about 7 months. I get a regular salary for starting at the bottom, so I can basically just afford simple monthly expenses such as rent, utilities, and groceries. My boyfriend is studying his degree. Okay, I get what that means, but it almost sounds like he's got a degree and he's intently looking at it, and helps with bills from money he earns in a part-time job, and that his parents give him for his allowance. Allowance? At 24? Okay. Oh, your boyfriend. 22. Okay. Allowance. All right. Well, I mean, hey, if they're willing to help, sure. I certainly didn't get an allowance at 22. I'll give you the tip right now. Um, uh, my best friend helps out with bills from an allowance she gets from her parents as she is also still studying her degree. Okay, I get that. You're providing for your daughter or whatever as they're studying. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The three of us decided to rent an apartment together as it was a more affordable option. That is true. That is true. It's always, in time people, the time travelers, I believe that they are called. Good to see you. Thank you, Nick. It's good to see you too. I'm sorry to hear of your Wi-Fi. If you do want to maybe get help with it, I can try and help you. I have known to fix Wi-Fi in the past. So, yeah. Yeah, you did. I did say that. Yes, I did. It did imply that you probably had your router inside of a metal cabinet because I have seen that before. And Nick, I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm not honestly. I'm 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 ribbing it gently. Okay, I'm not insult. I'm just ribbing it gently. All right, just saying. Just saying. Just saying. But thank you so much for joining me. I don't see a raid, an official raid, but welcome to the Time Travelers. Where are you? Look, I've been asking. Isandering, I've been asking that for a couple of years now, mate. But yeah, you're in Australia. I'm good at breaking stuff. Oh, that's a gift. That's a gift. It's a gift that keeps on giving. The gift. Okay. All right. We discussed that we would split the bills payments equally. Look, moving in together with people is a really good idea. It's really fantastic. Having a friend and living with them are not the same things. Like you may have friends that you just cannot live with. Look, people have seen that before. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, yeah. Faraday cage. Yep, yep. This arrangement is working well until my best friend's boyfriend moved in. He repeatedly stated that he would also help with the bills, but until he found a job, he could only help with groceries. We all agreed this was okay, but also said he couldn't stay here forever without bringing his side. Yeah, got you. Okay. Best friend's boyfriend help with the bills. He could only help with groceries. I started to notice over time that the groceries I were buying were disappearing, but at a faster rate than what they should be. I asked my boyfriend, he said that he genuinely didn't take any extra groceries. My boyfriend and I are really trying to save money for the future, so we budget everything down to the groceries. I don't mean that we go hungry, save money. I just mean that we don't eat 900-gram T-bone steaks every night. Well, I mean, who does? Seriously. If you are doing that, good on you. But no, for a start, that would be hell on your colon, right? Like, seriously. Then, all caps, then, all caps, then I noticed that my best friend's boyfriend, I do apologize, I can't read BF, was treating himself to his meals when in the kitchen with my groceries. I let it go on for a while until I no longer had food to eat myself and I had no money to buy for. I called a house meeting in which I stated that I was not happy with this whole issue, to which they, my best friends and her boyfriend, stated they would buy their own food from then on and that we would no longer share. After that, food didn't disappear as much, but was still finishing faster than it should. I then started keeping my groceries in my cupboard in my bedroom. I hate confrontation, so when I needed something from my cupboard, I would make sure they weren't there to see. This is like some spy stuff. Like you are like next there's going to be a safe in a house with groceries in it, like just some you know some fruit wraps in it and things. Like what are we doing? What are we doing? Like what are we doing? And I'd make sure they weren't there to see. Cue the Impossible Mission music as they go to get some groceries out of their room. But I bumped into my best friend's boyfriend while carrying some groceries out of my room. They then start to ask if I had extra groceries that they could have, e.g., bread, which I would say no, which was lying as I did have bread, but for work sandwiches. It's been about 1 month now, and my boyfriends and her best friend and her boyfriend both feel cold towards me still, and I often catch them whispering and stop when my boyfriend or I enter. I'm not sure if this was maybe the wrong solution for a problem, but I don't see how I now have to be treated like a villain because my groceries are in my cupboard. Am I the asshole? Well, no, but it seems like an untenable situation. It seems like a really untenable situation. Like, they obviously don't want to buy their own groceries. You're not in a position where you can share. This is sort of what we're talking about. Like having a friend and living with them are two different things. And different people have different priorities. Different people have different things that they will do. Different people have different views on, whose food they can eat. But I totally get it. I don't think she's being an asshole, but I think that they're going to resent her for not being able to steal her groceries, which is a wild thing to say. I mean, that is a wild thing to say, but the resentment will build because they can't do it. Okay, before I forget, I'll do the poll now. Before I forget, because I have a job to do and I'm good at my job, allegedly. Allegedly. Um, let's see. Was the poster right for for securing her groceries in her room? Look, I totally understand it. I really do, and I don't think so. I think that if she was just being paranoid, I think I would say, "Yeah, you're being a bit of an asshole." But, like, just taking care of yourself, I don't see the problem. I do not see the problem. So, yeah. I don't have an issue with this. I think she's in the right. I think that morally, it's the people stealing her groceries that are in the wrong. If they want to take groceries, they've got to put in. You can't expect other people to cover. It's nice if they do, and everyone appreciates when somebody does be generous towards you, but you can't expect it to happen. Um, I don't know how you feel. I would feel. Then again, I'm pretty difficult to live with, and I know I'm difficult to live with. I there's only certain people that I get along with living with, right? So, I know I get along with my wife. I know we have a delightful time together. We're both on the same page. Sometimes you do have to sort of, make a bit of compromise in order to live with somebody, but giving up your groceries to them is not one of them. If you've decided to buy your own groceries, don't accept that they're taking yours. That sucks. So what have the Redditors got to say? Not the soul, just say, sorry, I thought we agreed to each buy our own groceries, therefore I only buy enough to feed myself. You should probably stop tiptoeing around as if you had something to feel guilty about. You don't, and this incident suggests you aren't going to be able to avoid a confrontation. So center yourself and prepare to stand your ground and move out as soon as financially feasible. Yeah, it may be the case that you need to move out if they're really not going to, and put a lock on your cupboard. Probably, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that is what can happen. And like I said, you may not be at a place where you can live comfortably with these people. If they find, stealing your groceries fair game and you really dislike it, you just might not be compatible to live together. I've had friends in the past where I'm not compatible living together. I like them, they're fantastic, they're good friends, wouldn't live with them. Um, Newfoot Native says, not the answer. When people are such moochers that you have to hide your groceries, then that's a them problem and not a you problem. Yeah, I mean, I could see that maybe if you're being paranoid, like, oh, they might steal my food. Yeah, that might be a problem. But yeah, if they basically said, oh yeah, we've been taking the food, then yes, I see that as a them problem. I would look at moving out as soon as you can. That kind of behavior won't stop on its own. And I do see that, yes. It probably won't stop on its own. Yeah. Ute lawyer. Ute lawyer? Okay. Not the arsehole. It sucks that your friend's boyfriend doesn't have a job, but that's their problem. You aren't the food bank. They need to find a solution to their problem and shouldn't be stealing your food. Yeah, probably. Yes. Not the arsehole. And let me guess, he still isn't paying share of bills either. Doesn't matter for this, I guess. But if he's not paying bills, he needs to move out. And if he is paying his share of bills, he's still not allowed to eat your food. Yeah, correct. You can't allow people to make you feel bad, preventing them from stealing from you as much as they used to. Easier said than done, but please be realistic here. When they ice you out, that just shows them in even worse light. Yeah, they should be guilty about it, right? If somebody's like, yeah, you're not taking my food, you need to get your own. I would feel guilty about taking. I'd be like, oh dear, no, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. These people don't, which is wild. Which is wild because you stopped their free access stuff. Of course, your fault. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that sort of reminds me a lot of different things. Like when people get angry that you've called them out on saying, they do something wrong, and you say, "Hey, that's wrong. That's against the law, or that's sort of against terms and conditions." They then get angry at you for pointing it out, and it's like, no, it's not my fault. I pointed it out. It's your fault for breaking it in the first place. That's wild. Like you should be saying, hey, I will stop doing this rather than blaming somebody for catching you. It's like the criminals that like get caught and they say, oh well, you're the one that pointed it out, you shouldn't have snitched. It's like, no, you're the one doing the wrong thing. Why are you getting angry at people for pointing it out? It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm a bit of a weird one, I must admit. You are in Australia. Yes, you're in upside down land. How do you feel? How do you feel? Um, right or wrong button is a matter of perspective. Well, no, it really depends on what you would like exactly from the perspective of liking your stream to being seen. Yes. There is a right button and a wrong button for that outcome. Correct. I'm right there with you, Titan. Sterling says, I have a way of pissing people off. It's not a talent per se. It's more of a well-honed skill. Well, I'd hate to think it was a natural talent, that you were naturally gifted at it, Sterling. I really would. I'm glad that you had to put some time and effort into this endeavor. Oh, thanks, Ember. You're actually triggering me right now. Like, thank you. Thank you. Look, if it's hardwired with Ethernet, like if it's Cat5 or something going to it, it doesn't matter. That I can get on board with. You can eat that much beef if you get enough fiber. Okay. They make food safes? Well, it doesn't surprise me, but Jessica, the Transmetal Alchemist, says using a cupboard as a pantry. Oh boy, I've been there. Yeah, I think it is a sort of share house thing. I've lived with people where I've definitely hidden, or not hidden, but just had in another location, things like treats, like chips and chocolate and stuff, because that will just absolutely vanish. But generally, I haven't really had to do that except for that kind of stuff. Andrew says, I'm bad at eating others' food. I let myself starve if I don't get my own food. I feel bad taking from others if I know I have to survive a week or two without much food at all. Look, we've all been there, Andrew. Like we've all been on the, well, I don't know if all of us, but I've certainly been on the pot noodle, instant noodles kind of diet thing. I mean, that was a joke in where I used to live, that like you had the instant noodles diet that was just, make instant noodles night after night. Hey, not good for you, but you survived. Jester says, I don't think she was lying. She didn't have any bread that they could have. Yeah, correct. Correct. I don't have any spare bread. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Titan says, I once made a huge pot of red beans during the afternoon and heard a noise in the kitchen after midnight. Roommate sitting on the floor, drunk, fishing the sausage out with his fingers. What? What? Why? No, that's not the worst I've seen. I'm not going to go into the worst thing I've seen while coming home and seeing a drunk person doing something, because that was crazy. But yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Ember says, I literally do that with my coffee and low sugar bread so they don't vanish on me. Get one of those food safes we've been talking about. Um, Stop the Stupidity says, I think her roommates need to save more money for food or get a part-time job to afford them. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen it devolve into horrible things, or I've heard it devolve into horrible things, like people, you know, putting flour instead of caster sugar and stuff to punish them for taking stuff. You know what I mean? Like putting salt in instead of sugar, so when they make a coffee and use it. Like I've heard of all kinds of antics going on with like this is a wild problem, really. Sterling says, I love cooking and feeding people and sharing food. It's an act of love and friendship. I would share food with anyone. If you're hungry, you can have it. Yeah, but I don't think you should do that at the expense of yourself, Sterling. You know, if you are trying to save and you're trying to buy things, then supporting other people at your own detriment, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, you can do it, and maybe you're a morally it's morally virtuous, but I don't think it's very good, because you're sacrificing yourself. So a lot of the time in these kind of behaviors, we talk about supporting people versus rescuing them. And supporting people is great. It's a very good thing to do. But rescuing is kind of like helping them at the detriment of yourself, like where you're very detrimental to yourself. And that's not good, because it will always build resentment. Always. It doesn't matter how it happens. It definitely will. Maybe you're a special case, Sterling. I won't talk for you, but it definitely will with me. That eventually, if I rescue people at my own detriment, eventually I will feel a bit like, oh, why do I have to do this? The answer is I don't have to do that. Stop the Stupidity says, I don't mind helping people, but sometimes people will take advantage of your kindness. Yeah, absolutely. I totally get where you're coming from. And sometimes people will take your kindness and they're not realizing that it's actually sort of hurting you, or they don't think they're taking advantage. It's all, their perspective may be, well, if you're happy to help, I'm happy to take your assistance, and they might not realize that you think they're taking advantage. It's why communication is so important, and like all of these, communication is absent. Hey, Atham, how you doing? Good to see you. Unfinished Journey, good to see you as well. Always good. You was on Purples last week. Oh, okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, Purple Rhymes with Orange is always a welcome community member here. Um, Anything that rhymes with orange is a welcome community member here. Titan says, the trick is to be slightly more useful than you are annoying. Okay, well, I mean, okay. Words to live by, I guess. Only slightly though, Titan. You don't want to be too useful. Yeah, okay. Um, Lol, peanut butter, just sunflower seed, or forage from the forest? Really? I don't think I've ever foraged from a forest. I will be honest with you. Although I have gone to get like vegetables from a charity kind of thing. I have been that poor at one point. I went to a food place and they gave me charity charity vegetables, which was nice and it was good. And I made a big soup and I felt really good about it, and I was so grateful. Um, I grew up in New Orleans. New Orleans. I've seen what drunks do could be a book. Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not even sure if I should share the worst story or not. It's pretty bad. Um, Fishing does good too, or trapping wild game. Look, if you can fish and trap wild game, good on you. I am not a woodsman. I gotta say, I am not a woodsman. I wouldn't know. I could possibly catch a fish, sure. Sure. No, no, purple isn't here. I'm just saying they're very, very welcome. That's how I get away with shit, by being very useful. Okay. Well, I mean, you don't have to be useful. That's fine. You forage. I don't know how you forage figs from another. They don't eat them and don't care. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if they're happy to, that's fine. Walk complete. Oh, well done, Ems. Well done. Well done. And Ems coming up 2K. 2K. It's time. It's absolutely time. Okay. How did you wonderful little people vote? Poster is right. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. And somewhere in there is Titan trying to muck up my poll, which is fine. Which is fine. I accept it, because Titan is slightly more useful than he is annoying. That's why we accept it. Okay, I'll do one more. I do realize this isn't a long aimbot. I'll ease my way back into it, but I will do one more, and that's just for you, Tori. Just because you came back, I will do one more. That's the only reason. The only reason. Where am I? There we go. Okay, I'm going to upvote that because that's good. Oh, and we have one of the Tuddy on Friday. Whoop whoop. All right. Do we have a link for that? I have a link. Absolutely. I have a link to the future. Now that'll be in the future. Absolutely. It's on Ember's channel. Please come along. Celebrate the 2K. We will be talking. We will be laughing. We will presumably be celebrating. At least I intend to. And so yeah, a fun activity. Oh, do party games. We can do like what's that drawing game? I do like that drawing game. That turns hilarious. Look, we'll come up with something. We'll have some party games. You can join in. We can have a celebration. We can be a community. We can celebrate a long overdue milestone. Absolutely. I'm on board. I am so excited about this. Like seriously. Yeah. Oh, that's what you want on your gravestone. That's what. Okay, no, that's cool. I can imagine. I can imagine. So this one's a mediocre bread maker. Oh, wow. Okay. Uh, Selling yourself a bit short, don't you think? 4 minutes ago. Oh, it's so new. It's brand spanking new. It's new and fresh. Would I be the asshole if I outed my partner's friend to the celebrity she contracts with? Outed how? Outed how? Like, if you're talking about outing someone who's gay, how dare you? Screw you. Because seriously, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't out people. Don't out them as atheists either. Don't do that. Because they might not be in a position where they feel comfortable. They might not be in a position where they can handle it. They may have other consequences. Don't out people. Come on now. So I don't know what outed means. Let's find out. I don't. Would it be gay? Like, if that is, you are an asshole, a complete asshole. You would be the asshole. Sorry, because it's in the future tense. Um. Seriously, don't do that. Oof. A long-term friend of my partner is, by societal standards, a successful woman. We can call her Mary. Mary, quite contrary. Mary comes from a wealthy East Coast family and moved out west after college, met her husband, and had 2 children. Okay, so college, husband, children, she's doing the nuclear family, fair enough. She has had numerous jobs and had made good money, but that's when her redeeming qualities end and the problems begin. Okay, well, that's an ominous... Is that an ominous start or what? Like, she's a normal... yeah, that's true. I didn't mention that, Tori. I am only 30-ish subs from 2000. 2.5K is coming up, so I've got to do something to get over that 2.5K. I will be trying. I will be doing my best. Please, if you can, support, get people in, lie to them, cheat them. I don't know. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Honestly, it is an amazing milestone, Tori. It's not that big a deal to me. I really am hyping it up a lot more than I actually care about it. I'm just happy to have everybody here and a wonderful community and everything like that. And it'll come soon enough. It'll be fine. So an alcoholic who doesn't believe in trauma. Red flag. Red flags in the chat. Red flags. Red flags. Holy crap. Is there a red flag emoji? I think that's the closest I've got. Red flag. Do not believe in trauma. No, 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 no. Just like the general idea of trauma and all the research behind it. You run into people like this. I ran into Wilson, who's like, yeah, no, sociopathy and psychopathy and antisocial personality, it's not a thing. It's like, are you out of your mind? We've got so much research on it. Wow. Okay, for a start, I don't know how you can tell she's an alcoholic. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and sort of say, hey, there's a better one. Yeah, how come you could find that? How come you could find that? Okay, I suck at flags. I suck at flags. She alcoholic? Hey, Aunt you? So good to see you. And just put red flags in. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is awful. That is awful. We know that absolutely is a thing. Like, and trauma, like it used to be that we didn't understand it. Like, for instance, post-traumatic stress disorder from military action used to be called shell shock, and they didn't understand it. They didn't get it. They just thought, oh, that person has this weird thing where they're shaking and they, are having problems and it's shell shock. No, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. It's from trauma. Wow. But I'm going to assume that it's evident that she's an alcoholic. I wouldn't. So there's some people that drink a lot who aren't necessarily an alcoholic. Alcoholism is sort of a disease which it really has to cause disruption in your life to be a thing. It's very difficult to say who and who isn't. I dislike people saying, well, you drink a lot, so you're an alcoholic. That is not necessarily the case. Some person may drink a lot, but they're not alcoholic. Some people may drink not that much and still be alcoholic. Like it isn't a hard and fast thing. I dislike that. But let's assume that she knows what she's talking about. Maybe. Her husband is also an alcoholic. Yeah, I don't know about that. And they have had a tumultuous relationship that includes some DV incidents and a general neglect of house and children. Well, DV, that's bad. That's bad. She drank through both of her pregnancies. Wow, okay. Has been arrested in other countries on work trips for shoplifting and is banned. Deported, okay. Wow. She has tried to commit insurance fraud by claiming she lost an insured item, and the list goes on. Yeah, I'm not sure why you're a long-term friend of my partner. Okay. I don't know why you're friends with this Mary. Like, I don't know. Within the last 6 months, she has had multiple preschools call Child Protective Services on her for smelling like alcohol at pickup and drop off, and she finds a new preschool every time this happens to throw them off, or so she thinks. Wow, all right, this is domestic violence, just domestic violence. Or so she thinks. And the grand finale was a few weeks ago. She was arrested for a DUI with the kids in the car unbuckled on the free. Damn. Mid-afternoon with a blood alcohol limit of 0.24. Okay, that is absolutely trashed. The legal limit in Western Australia for driving in alcohol is like 0.08, I think. Limit in Australia for blood alcohol. and it's less. I think it's 0.05 for probationary drivers. Oh no, it's 0.05. Okay. Probationary, they've dropped it. It's point zero. It's 0 for probationary drivers and 0.05. Like, I don't really drink, so I don't really, you know. Yeah, that is absolute. That is over 4 times the legal limit. It's almost 5 times the legal limit in Australia. That is crazy. That is crazy sourced. And at her arrangement last week, she was ordered not to see her children, have zero contact until a verdict is reached at trial. Oh, oh, that is rough. Yeah, she's got a problem. Like if you've got your kids in the car with a blood alcohol of 0.24, that is horrible. I'm a former social worker. I made a lot of CPS calls in my day, and I, of course, called and shared what I know. So no issue there. Yeah, you should call and share what you know. I'll look it up, Tori. Give me 1 second. In US, it may vary by state. I know that a lot of things vary by state. Yeah, 0.08. Utah is an exception with 0.05. Yeah, so it's usually 0.08. So yeah, she's over double the legal limit, which is just wild. She's almost what? She's 3 times the legal limit. That's wild. Here's where I'm struggling. She currently has to deal with a very famous celebrity to create a line of children things for anonymity. I will not go into details about the product. It's also not released, so no one will know what it is currently. And I'm on the fence about emailing their team, most like anonymously, and sharing the arrest record with them. Regardless of societal status, I don't think someone who is so brazen in their disregard of the safety of children should be creating things and profiting off children. Creating things for and profiting off children and spaces for children. And no, there isn't a traumatic event that triggered a breakdown. She isn't struggling. She's, in my opinion, a bad person who truly only cares about themselves. So would I be the asshole for emailing the information I know to the team of a famous person who was working with her? Edit, this project isn't a business yet and not her livelihood. She has had an unlimited credit card from her parents until her early 30s, owns multiple Airbnbs and had many high-paying jobs, and her husband owns a successful company. Well, I mean, that's a tough one. Would you be an asshole? No. Should you do it? I don't know. You know, I don't know. That's wild. That is wild, though. I don't know. I think that I would probably just not associate with that person. Just cut them out of your life. You worrying, like, it's not up to you to um to um it's not up to you to save other people from this horrible person. Like, you can't take this burden on yourself. I think the best thing to do in these cases is just to not associate with that person and get them out of your life. She's gonna sabotage herself over time, probably, so yeah. Wow. Wow. That's wild. That is wild. Should you torpedo her? I don't think so. I think that if she finds out, like if she somehow finds out, it's just gonna be another problem for you. Um, I don't think it's up to you to police how other people's lives are going. I don't see anything good coming from this. Um, I don't see it as your responsibility. You're taking on responsibility for something that is not your responsibility. Like, you've called CPS, you've made them aware of it. That's entirely your thing done. You've done more than you have to. So, would you be an asshole? No, no. Okay. But would you be morally bankrupt if you did? No. But I don't think no one is to blame. I think Post is in the right, to be honest with you. Or everyone sucks, maybe? I mean, would everybody suck if she did that? Yeah, kind of. You're like, um, you're like, telling somebody about her private life when it's work. I can't see that's the right thing to do. I think this is hard. This one's hard because obviously that woman is doing absolutely the wrong thing. But is it right to sabotage her work? Probably not. It isn't really your responsibility or place to do so. So I kind of think everyone sucks if they did that. Like everybody will be, like everybody sucks if they do that. Um, I think that the right thing to do is just let her get on with her life and you get on with yours. You do the right thing by your children and your life. And let her make her own mistakes. So I think I would, but it's hard, right? Because you're sort of like, well, she's got a contract helping children when she can't even help her own. I get how frustrating that is. I totally get it, but I still think that I would go down on everyone sucks if they do that. Like you're just creating drama. Wow, but hard. Yeah, yeah, really hard. I don't know how to feel about this one. Um, would the poster be? I mean, when it said outed, I expected something completely different. This is sort of, a bit different. This isn't outing somebody. It's just sort of explaining to them, what they've done wrong in their life. But that's, why you'd be calling up a job trying to sink somebody for what they've done wrong in their life. Uh, I maybe it's better to do an intervention with this person. Like just say, hey, this is really bad, and we care about you, and this is, there's a reason why people do interventions. But sort of shaming them by using their work, I don't see that as, she might drink more. We don't know. Getting her professional help instead of doing this punitive thing may be the way to go. And that's the reason why I'm going to come down. Look, I totally get it if your opinion's different. Right in telling friends work about her DUI. Like we got to start looking at alcoholism as an illness instead of like some kind of moral failing kind of thing. It is an illness. And I get that you want to just go, oh, well, it's your fault. You shouldn't have done this. It's really bad. It is really bad. But shaming people isn't the way to go when they have an illness. We've got to address the root cause of the problem, what they're coping with by using it. Okay, I'll start the poll. Feel free to vote. Feel free to disagree. I wouldn't blame you for disagreeing with me on this one. This one's kind of very difficult, right? Like, why should this person be rewarded working with children when she's done horrible things for children? I totally understand it. I get it. That's actually very interesting. Um, First one, Masterpiece Actual. The celebrity would probably like knowing it'll come out at some point and make them look like a fool for supporting her. Yeah, but maybe that's what she needs. Maybe that's what the celebrity needs. Maybe they need to start thinking about who they're employing before they do it. Maybe. Everyone sucks here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's clearly a bad person. It doesn't sound like she'd be working directly with children or putting them in danger in any way. If she's qualified for the job on paper, then they either did a background check and didn't care, or they failed to do a due diligence, and it's on them that they hired a walking PR nightmare. Your concern for her kids is well placed, but trying to get her fired seems like bad karma. Well, I mean, bad karma. Yeah, it just seems like a bit of a dick move, to be honest with you. But yes, I get what they're trying to say. If her addiction has already lost her children, chances are she'll burn this bridge on her own without interference from you. Yeah, I kind of like that one. Yes. Yeah, I kind of agree. Everyone sucks here. She seriously sucks, and I hope she receives a very harsh punishment from the courts. You'd be an asshole for emailing her potential business partner. That's unnecessary and not your place. That will probably be destroyed by the courts, but that doesn't mean you'll get a free pass just to pile on like some vigilante justice warrior. Let the law deal with her. Yeah. Where the safety of the children is concerned, and this is fun holiday. Okay. I'm always on the side of report. This doesn't rise to the level, but if I were the celebrity, I would want to know about her background, the current charges against her. I'm not a fan of anonymous communication, but it has its place. Yeah, I don't know. She needs serious help, not shaming and, losing business and stuff. Because, like, sort of losing business and losing children and being shamed by the courts and stuff, that's not going to help her stop drinking. She needs to have a support network and things like that. As horrible as it is that she's being, and it feels awful to give her support. Um, that's what people who are struggling with alcoholism need. You would be the arsehole if this was a one-off event, but I'm going to say not the arsehole if you choose to discreetly report this to the celebrity. Maybe you can find a mutual friend to contact the celebrity. They should be running a background check before any partnership. I don't think there's such a thing as once-off DUI with your children in the car. That's dangerous mindset. It makes it inexcusable. It makes it excusable, inexcusable. What she did is inexcusable. Um, yeah, yeah. But again, alcoholism is one hell of a sickness. Not the asshole. You would be the asshole. This has nothing to do with the safety of anyone's child, etc. It's solely about your opinion that she doesn't deserve it, shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, I agree. It isn't to try and help the children, it's to say, hey, you don't deserve this. And that's not really your place to say. Child safety, speak up. Nonsense like this, not your business. Okay, so there's a variation within the Reddit community over it. As much as I don't really take Reddit to be the authority on what's right and wrong, trust me, I really do not. There's definitely a variation in there as well. Uh, what have you lovely little things got to say? Um, Titan says, when I drink enough to unalive a horse. I also sometimes go 5 years or more without drinking once. Right. So there is people that do drink a lot, but definitely not alcoholism because they can easily say no. Um, so these kind of substance abuse problems, it's not really to do with the substance. It's to do with not being able to cope with certain things that come up in your life. So trying to just stop someone drinking never works. Got to address the trauma underneath. But obviously, she doesn't think trauma's a thing. So, that makes it very hard, very, very hard. I think the best thing is for the courts to actually say, hey, you've got to get some substance abuse therapy and you have to do it kind of thing. That's probably the best thing that can be done. Mm. Andrew says, pop makes me focus and get my thoughts out better, especially post COVID, long COVID and some brain fog. Look, weed does not help me with like clarifying my thoughts. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, DV cars. Blah. Drivers Village. Visit DV. Oh, that's terrible. Buddies in Appleton would have short ass drink under the table. All the big talkers who came into our bar. Fair enough. I don't know where Appleton is, Andrew, but yeah. Yeah, you're right, Tori. It's 0.08, which means that's 3 times the legal limit. That is losing your license territory. Absolutely. Should be instantly taken away. Um, Aunt Jer says there was a period when I drank an entire bottle of wine every night after work. I switched to other coping mechanisms. Yes, I don't remember which one specifically. I told a therapist about it. And they didn't believe me that I just stopped drinking suddenly on my own. I wasn't addicted. It was just using as a coping mechanism. Why is that hard to understand? Because that is addiction. Using substance as a coping mechanism is addiction. That's why, aren't you? The fact that you've replaced it with a more healthy way of coping, it doesn't mean that that wasn't addictive behavior. It just means that you've overcome that addiction. Same with me, and I was addicted to cigarettes basically, and essentially what I did was just drank water instead of that, and it just was switching that coping mechanism to something a bit different. So I would have a think, I would go outside, I would drink water, and just do something else, and but it's still addictive behavior. You could disagree. I get you, but it is the coping mechanism using substance to overcome those negative feelings that is it is the psychological part of addiction because it has two facets. You get sort of a physical addiction to neuroadaptation. That's where your body literally needs the substance because it's expecting it. But the psychological part is really what I'm talking about. But if Stop the Stupidity says, if you are wrong, it's slander. Um, so no, it's not. No, it's not, because it would be written, and written, it's libel. Slander is spoken. So you are wrong. Stop the Stupidity. I realize I'm splitting hairs. I totally get it, but yeah, yeah. No, it would be libel. Atheum says poster would be in the wrong stay out of their lives and get over the animosity you have. Right, right. Seeing shitty people succeed is hard, but it isn't your life. Yeah, absolutely, Atheum. I completely agree. And sort of linking yourself to correcting the wrongs of the world can be exhausting and fruitless and bad for your own well-being. So I totally agree. Ember says, I don't see what the benefit is. It won't cause her to change her behavior. It's just being retributive out of judgmentalism. Yep, agree. It is trying to punish her, and that might make her addiction worse. That's the thing. You like, if you go out of your way to punish her for being addicted, there's a vicious circle in there. In addiction, there's basically some people will get shamed for what they're doing. They're using some kind of substance. People will shame them and say, oh, you're a horrible person, you're a pox on society. They will feel ashamed, and in order to deal with those feelings of shame, they will turn to exactly the same substance they're being shamed for. It's a vicious circle. So I completely agree with that. Tori said, and depending on the mother's body composition, it might not take much to get that drunk to legally not drunk. Right, right. So if they're a very small woman, yeah, it may not take a lot to push her up to that. Yeah. Some huge guys, they can drink a lot before they get to that point. No, that's a very good point. Justice says, if anything, this would put the children in further danger of DV. Correct. Yeah, that is a good point. That is a good point. Although her children have been taken away from her until the court case is over. So maybe not. Maybe not. Majestic Beck says, I got creamed by a drunk driver in mid-20s, had to learn. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. That's awful. That's awful. Amber says, I was thinking, if this person cares so much, talk to her. Yeah, like, even an intervention, it does happen for a reason. And it's sort of this idea of, look, we love you, we care for you, we're concerned about you, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the people around you. We're here to tell you that we need to get you help, kind of thing. He was rushing all night to the liquor store when he hit me. Yeah, that's bad. I'm sorry to hear that, Beck. Sterling says, if they don't self-correct, life and the law will catch up with them eventually. Well, maybe not. That's the thing. Sometimes they never get caught up to, and that sucks, but it's not up to you. If you think the company doesn't do its due diligence, just don't buy their products. Yeah, that's a good point. Tori says, DUI is public information, can be easily looked up on the online court docket. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how much sort of, deep into their due diligence of people that they do. I don't know. I would expect if you're going through some kind of employment agency, maybe, but if they're just recruiting their friend to help them with something, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Beck says, "This is my thing when I drink. I drink a lot, but I don't drink often." Yeah, and a lot of people do say that, Beck. A lot of people do say that. Me, I don't drink often, and I don't drink much. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I drank. It just isn't appealing to me anymore. And that's not, you're welcome to it if you do. I have no problem at all. It's just me personally. I live my own life. Tori says, personally, I would only say something if the other person starts drinking at the party and starts drinking a lot. Yeah, I mean, if they basically if they basically are causing a whole bunch of problems for other people, I totally get that, Tori. I watched a video recently where some Australian dude was like drinking many open bottles of liquor in his car while on the way home. But when he stopped and tested, he tested 0 alcohol. Okay. Wow. Um, Aunt Jess says, "My beef is they didn't believe me that I suddenly stopped without intervention." Yeah, absolutely. People can do that. People can absolutely do that. I don't see why they would. I mean, it's very difficult, and you're probably aware it's incredibly difficult. But it is possible. It hadn't. A lot of people cannot do that, Archer. So that's impressive, but it can happen. Some people get to the point, like you get people that are on hard substances, like crack and things like that, and they just decide to stop and just have this almost like a paradigm shift and just absolutely stop and throw it all away kind of thing. It has happened before. Very rare though, you know. But I would believe you. Um, I guess the problem from some people's point of view is that some of these professionals, especially in sort of substance abuse fields, they get lied to all the time. That people who are using substance will say, "Hey, I've given up. I've just given up," kind of thing, and they will always be lying. They'll be lying a lot of the time. So I think it's like cops who they spend so much time with a lot of criminals, they start looking at everyone like criminals. And if you spend a lot of time with substance addicts, you start looking at everybody like, well, they just lie all the time. So that might be it, which isn't your fault, and is really, you really should take people at their word. But we're colored by who we interact with, unfortunately. It's kind of like me. Whenever people come in my chat and go, "Oh, I used to be an atheist, and now I found the light of the Lord." I just go, "Yeah, you're probably not." Like it's hard after interacting with so many people that say the same thing to take them seriously, which is, I guess, just a human failing. I think the part they didn't believe Aunt Cher has just stopped, I think, comes down to the fact that AA is infected society. Think alcoholism is incurable. Yes, and I have an issue with that. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't. This whole idea that you know once an alcoholic, all the alcoholic. What do I know about splitting hairs? Look, I've split my hairs so fine you can't even see them anymore. All right, I am an expert. I'm an expert. I don't know why Atheum's saying turtles. I'm sure it relates to something, but hey, I just want to point that out. Um, Stop stupidity. Yeah, yeah. Libel is written and slander is spoken. It's just a designation that they make. It's just, yeah. I think I only remember it so well because it was in Spider-Man at one point, and he's like, oh, he goes to J. Jonah Jameson like, oh, that's slander, and he goes, it is not. Slander is spoken. It's libel when it's written. I remember that scene because J.K. Simmons is the only J. Jonah Jameson I will accept. He is the J. Jonah Jameson. So good, so good. I used to be an atheist like you, then I took an Arabic. Hey, Skyrim reference, yay! But yeah, okay, let's see what the poll came out like. I really am enthused. Everyone sucks at 55%. Yeah. Oh, people think that the poster is wrong as well. No, that's fair. That's fair. Totally with it. Yep. Cool. Cool. Okay, so that is aimbot. I'm calling it a little early, but it is 2 hours, so that's okay. That's all right. So back with me. And so, what do we got coming up? We have coming up Fundamentalist Fails. But before that, I think no, after that. Okay, so we will have Fundamentalist Fails. That is coming up. The day after, we will be over on Ember's channel. I'm going to drop the link to the 2K party one more time. One more time. Gonna celebrate. There is that. If you're looking for stuff to do on Thursday night, there is Maudi, and he's talking about some crazy dude with an IQ revolution, and he is an intellectual, a friend, and an awesome guy. So that's on Christopher Maudi's channel. Should be very, very interesting, and that's a premiere. So if you don't have anything to do, that might be something to do. But yeah, so And beyond that, I probably will be doing. I really want to go over to Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal's channel and review my last debate on young Earth creationism, because it was a whole load of nonsense. It was the best talking points all crammed into one. So I would love to go over there. I may be working with producer Wes in the future, so some things may be coming up. Just keep the, like, subscribe, keep that bell rung so you know when I'm going live, because things might be moving quickly. I'm a bit up in the air at the moment, but that's okay. That's all right. It's usually a bit wild. And I do want to come out with some more videos on some thoughtful stuff that I've been thinking about. My ADHD has been kicking my ass lately. So I do apologize that I haven't done more. I did try and get a few short videos on the Andrew thing out, but I do want to work on that a bit as well. But thank you so much, everybody. It's been wild. We've done 4 years. So year number 5, I want to kick it into high gear. We're going to be doing some amazing stuff. We are coming up on 2,500 subscribers, which should be fantastic if we can make that. If not, that's cool too. I love doing this. I love talking to you all. It's great to see you all. Auntie needs a lesson in data bias. I don't think so. I think she's pretty on the ball, but hey. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in. Do give a like, subscribe, etc. Share if you're feeling particularly good. Don't forget, be kind to yourself. You don't have to put up with others criticizing you for simply, having a job and doing well, and buying things that you want. You don't have to put up with that. And I really think that be kind to yourself and not involve with people that steal your food or criticize you for simply doing what you need to do in life. There are people that will accept you for who you are. Be kind to yourself and be around those people. That's why we're trying to build community. Be kind to others, especially others in your community. Try to understand where they came from. Communication is key, and give them the time to explain themselves is a really good idea. But I want to thank everybody so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
She got